Hello everyone, I'm Dustin Benzel, and welcome to another Pokemon XY anime discussion. Today we're going to talk about a little bit, mostly, well, a little bit. We're only going to talk about a little bit, even though the whole video is pretty much going to be about it. But just a little bit. We're going to talk about Ash's future Noibat. But the discussion isn't just going to be necessarily Noibat itself, since I've already done that. But what I want to discuss particularly in this video is the complaint that, oh no, Ash is going to have 3 flying types on his team. That's pretty much a legitimate complaint. If you want variety on Ash's team like I do, but unfortunately, people are still being bitter about this, and for me, I would prefer if people just got over it by now, because I feel like Noibat may possibly have a lot to offer outside of just it being a flying type. So anyway, let's jump into the discussion, shall we? Now, I will say that I do partially agree that Ash having 3 flying types is absurd for the XY series. But unlike other people who have a problem with it, I don't think that it's going to harshly cripple the XY series as a whole, like other people are. Oh no, XY is ruined. Ash has 3 flying types. Read all about it. No. No, I don't think it's going to quite cripple the XY series, and the XY series will suffer as a result of that. Because no matter, even if Ash were to get Vivillon as his last Pokemon, giving Ash 4 flying types, nothing could compare to as bad as Goodra being released, unless we get a repeat of the Unova League for the Kalos League. If Cameron comes back and uses only 4 Pokemon this time in a full battle, and Ash loses in the same way because Cameron's Hydreigon takes out 4 of Ash's Pokemon and only Pikachu gets wins, then we're going to talk about how horrible the XY series is. But I don't think Ash getting a 3rd flying type on his team is going to be so detrimental to the XY series that the XY series is going to suffer as a whole because of it. And the reason why is because, well, let's look up the flying type. Let's look up the flying type. Flying type is one of the 18 types because 6th generation introduced fairy types, but let's look at flying type. Okay. Offensively, let's look at the defensive. Defensively, bug, fighting, and grass are resisted by, or not resisted, never mind. Flying types resist bug, fighting, grass. Now, of the 3 weaknesses, there are 3 weaknesses for flying types, and that is electric, ice, and rock. Now, here's the interesting thing about it, though. Even though Ash does have 3 flying types, you would think, well, Dustin, Ash's Pokemon are all weak against electric, ice, and rock. Not the case at all. Ash's 3 flying types resist those 3 types in one Pokemon in some way, making them neutral. For example, Noibat takes neutral damage for electric types, so it's not weak. Sure, ice and rock, it is weak, ice especially so, but it resists electric types. Fletchinder resists, Fletchinder takes neutral damage against ice, because its fire types is in fact resisting the ice because fire resists ice types. Sure, it takes damage from electric types and super effective damage against rock types, but that's why we have Noibat for electric, Fletchinder for ice, and, as you would believe it, Hawlucha for rock types. If it was Vivillon, if Ash had Vivillon, Ash would be really screwed right now in terms of flying type, And your complaints of Ash having 3 flying types would be a lot more legitimate if Ash had a Vivillon instead of a Noibat. But Hawlucha resists rock types. Well, not resist, but it does neutral. So Noibat can be used against electric types just like any other of Ash's Pokemon, with the exception of Frogadier and Fletchinder and Hawlucha. I just mean normal other types. For ice types, can be used just like Pikachu, or Fletchinder can be used against ice types just like Pikachu, and Frogadier, neutral or resistant damage. Rock types? Oh, well, of course, Hawlucha would be perfect for that. Hawlucha taking neutral damage. So there we go. And that's pretty much one of the main reasons why I'm not going to say that Ash getting a Noibat is the most horrible thing that the XY series can do, because of the 3 weaknesses that flying types, they're all covered, making them neutral based on the Pokemon. Noibat, used against electric types. Fletchinder, used against ice types. Hawlucha, used against rock types. So therefore, I think the difference between the Pokemon is enough that it doesn't seem like Ash is being over excessive in terms of the Pokemon he's using. Granted, Noibat and Fletchinder have similar battling styles, but even then I'm not entirely sure. So before we talk about this, I guess we'll talk more about the Pokemon themselves. See, Hawlucha is the most different in terms of battling style over Noibat and Fletchinder, because Hawlucha is a land Pokemon. It can fly, I guess, but not very well. It's not meant for flying, and it's primarily to battle on land, even though it's part flying. So it's a land-based Pokemon that's flying type, so Hawlucha's main trait is going to battle on the ground. And it's primarily going to focus on its fighting type, because that's what Hawlucha primarily is. Well, I don't know if Hawlucha is a fighting flying or a flying fighting, but at this particular point it doesn't matter, because Hawlucha, Ash's Hawlucha, is being solely treated as a fighting type that just so happens to be weak against electric and ice types. So there we go. Now, the argument with Noibat and Fletchinder is a little bit more legitimate. However, I realize that even then, they're still not the same. Hawlucha and Fletchinder are bird-based Pokemon, but Noibat is a bat/dragon origin, so it is definitely a different animal than Fletchinder. Even if they battle the same, they are different animals, you know. Noibat is more of a lizard variety than Fletchinder, and even though apparently birds evolved from reptilian creatures or dinosaurs or whatever, they're not quite lizards. They've, I guess, completely changed. I don't know. But, so Noibat is more of like a lizardy creature, dinosaur creature. Not really, because it also is also based off of a bat, and that's a mammal. But just the draconian features are probably more based on reptilian whatever, blah, 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 blah. You get what I'm saying, right? Dragons are reptilian creatures. That's pretty much what they are. Anyway, so I'm not, but even though it is a more legitimate claim, Fletchinder and Noibat, I still feel like they're 2 entirely different Pokemon. Fletchinder actually has a wingspan and actually would like fly kind of like this, you know. Meanwhile, Noibat flies like this. No, I'm not having a seizure, I promise. I'm just illustrating the point. That was a bad joke, but, you know, just didn't want to freak you out there. You know, Noibat is like a jittery, hovering, it's more, Noibat's appearance is more kind of like a hummingbird than Fletchinder. Fletchinder seems like to be those bigger bird creatures that you see that actually don't flap their wings 10 miles a second, or however fast a hummingbird's wings flap or whatever. So Noibat's kind of more like a hummingbird, while Fletchinder is more like a normal bird, if we want to go there. But I still feel like Noibat and Fletchinder are going to have different battling styles because Fletchinder so far seems to be a close-ranged physical attacker. Flame Charge, Peck, and Steel Wing. It's using Peck in the Valor Region battle, so that's why I said Peck and not like double battle or double team. Double battle? Fletchinder used double battle. What? No. Anyway, but Noibat is possibly going to be a ranged battler. See, now you would say Razor Wind, but in terms of the anime, I will strongly believe that any Pokemon that can have a ranged attack should always have a ranged attack. Even if the Pokemon themselves is better at physical attacking and a melee attacker, I feel like a ranged attack would be better because if you have a melee physical attacker, it's going to have a hard time battling against Pokemon that have all ranged attacks. So that's why I feel like within the anime at least, not the games, because the games are completely different, but in terms of the anime, in terms of what the anime can do, as opposed to the games, because there's no technical limitation in the anime. Well, outside of computer limitations. Well, we can't do that because the computer can't handle that attack. No, that's not what I mean, but there is no real limitations within the anime, so I feel like a range attack should always be there, at least to catch the ranged attacker off guard enough that maybe a physical ranged can attack. If it's a physical versus physical, melee versus melee battle, then fine, just focus on the physical attacks, but always having at least one ranged attack or even a physical attack that can be used like a ranged attack, say like Stone Edge prior to 6th Gen, or like Razor Leaf or something of that nature, then that would be okay. As long as it can be used from a distance. That's the important thing here. So Razor Wind, I just feel like is there just to give Fletchinder a move that has that range and can attack from afar, so that maybe it could be followed up by using Flame Charge or Peck or Steel Wing or whatever it may learn in the future. But Noibat seems like it's going to be primarily a range attacker. I can't say for sure. I don't know if the attack it's using in the previews is Screech. I don't know if it's going to have like Leech Life or Bite or Wing Attack or whatever the case is. Noibat could be a physical attacker. But I think because Fletchinder and Noibat are kind of different in terms of their body shapes and how they move, the battle is still going to be different. Even if Noibat were to have Wing Attack, I feel like Noibat using Wing Attack is going to be slightly different than, say, Fletchinder using Steel Wing. Fletchinder seems like it would be like gliding and then it would attack. Noibat either is going to flutter over to the Pokemon and then smack the Pokemon, or it's just going to smack the Pokemon regardless or whatever. So yeah, so even then, it's still going to be a little bit different, but then I have to think that even if they were going to battle exactly the same, Noibat and Fletchinder really do not share a lot of moves in common. They have similar moves. Steel Wing might be similar to Wing Attack, but I feel like the moveset between them is still going to be too different for them to be exactly the same. Now, hopefully the riders will not be boring like they are most of the time in regards to Ash's team's moveset. I mean, seriously, did Hawlucha really need 3 fighting types? Flying Press and High Jump Kick, that's fine. Karate Chop, I only accepted it in the beginning simply because Ash has never really used Karate Chop, so it's nice to see Hawlucha using Karate Chop. But otherwise, I think 2 other type moves would be more beneficial to Hawlucha than just having 3 fighting type moves and one of those being partially flying or whatever. So anyway, that's that. Um, um, I believe this pretty much covers it. Of all the things I've said, I mean, I I understand Ash's team may be a little bit boring because he has three flying types, but I don't think, as a lot of people or I've seen a lot of people, yeah, I don't think it's going to be the end of the XY series that Ash is going to have three flying types, because at least Ash does have a Pokemon. Honestly, at this particular point, I don't really think any other Pokemon would have worked. I mean, sure, Fanta maybe, but just because of Olympia, but they just, I think they just had to give Ash a Pokemon, and I feel like Noibat was what worked for them at the moment. Again, we have no idea what Ash's final Kalos Pokemon is going to be. Even if Ash does capture another one, he could just recall Charizard and Mega Evolve it, or Glalie, Heracross, and all the other Pokemon that can Mega Evolve. I don't think it's going to be Sceptile, because they're really pushing Shota hard with the Sceptile. So, or we're likely going to see Shota with the Sceptile. So if anyone's going to have a Mega Sceptile, unfortunately, it's going to be Shota, because Ash sure as heck is not going to have a Mega Sceptile. I would have loved to see Ash with the Mega Sceptile, but whatever. Although after Goodra and Noibat, having a Mega Sceptile would be just weird and wrong, considering that it would be Dragon type as well, at least in Mega form. That's always weird how the Pokemon Mega Evolve and change a type or add a type to their ordinary types, but whatever. Yeah, this is no Mega Evolution talk, so I feel like Noibat is going to offer Ash something at least. It's going to be different. It could be challenging, it could be fun, it could be exciting. Noibat's at least cute and adorable. Maybe not as cute as the Japanese voice of Gumi, or Numera, or whatever the Japanese name of Gumi is. Maybe not cute and adorable like Gumi, but I still feel like Ash should at least have a cute, adorable Pokemon. And yeah, I know, Phantup or other people's Skiddo. I'm sure maybe there's another cute, adorable Pokemon that you want Ash with, but hey, at least something. It's not my favorite, but maybe they always wanted Ash with the Noibat and Noivern. The only problem is that maybe they just really wanted Ash to have a Goodra just simply because they wanted Ash to have a Goodra, but they didn't want to give up Noibat, Noivern, or whatever. I don't know what the situation is in regards to why Goodra was only caught just so Ash can get the Voltage Badge, but whatever happened there, I don't know. Noibat is here to stay as far as I'm concerned. You may not like it, you may not enjoy it, but please, please don't act as if it's like the end of the world just because Ash is getting a Noibat, and that'll give him 3 flying types, because at this point, the only thing that would really upset me is if Ash had a Leo instead of a Noibat, because Noibat has more to offer than Leo. So if Ash gets a Leo or a Binacle in the future, then your complaints are very much legitimate, and I'll probably be one of those claiming the XY series is ruined. But not just because of Noibat. I mean, it's not the perfect Pokemon for Ash to have at this particular point. Maybe if Ash were to battle 16 gyms and there was 2 different Kalos regions and a lot more Pokemon to choose from, maybe Fletchinder and Holochip could be on one team, and then have Ash with Noibat on another separate team for that other hypothetical Kalos related region that Ash is doing gyms as well. Maybe then it would be better, but whatever's the case, I'm more worried about Ash's team in regards to his final capture, because it's probably going to be Bergmite, and I really don't want it to be Bergmite. It doesn't make any sense to me. But if it happens, then I'll be very annoyed because technically the only Pokemon that Ash had that I wanted was basically Goodra. Not saying I didn't want Ash with the Greninja. Of course I wanted Ash with the Greninja, but at that time I wanted Ash with the Delphox and Chestnut as well. So Froggy Greninja don't really count on the basis that Ash was always going to get a starter anyway. So of course, Greninja. I mean, Froakie evolving was a surprise. So anyway, but yeah, his last capture, his only real Pokemon that I really wanted was basically Goodra, and that was just simply because it was one of the best choices. I would have preferred Florges, Phantup, and all these other Pokemon, Inkay, Malamar. Definitely would have preferred those a little bit, just a little bit more than Goodra. But thinking of Ash's team, if Ash was stuck with having Fletchender, Talonflame, Hawlucha, Froakie, Frogadier, Greninja, and Pikachu, I really wanted Goodra on there. But since Goodra's no longer an issue, I'm kind of worried more about what Ash's last Pokemon is rather than Noibat. So anyway, thank you for watching this particular mini discussion of Ash's Noibat, I guess, or flying types in general. 3 flying types, I guess. So anyway, thank you for watching. I'm Dustin Benzel. Sorry, I'm Dustin Benzel, and I will see you in my next video. Goodbye.